Introduction. What if I told you that agriculture was not just a means of survival for the ancient Egyptians, but the key that opened the doors to a great civilization? Without the Nile River and its annual floods, they would not have discovered the secret to living between its banks without the ingenuity of these early farmers, who managed to build a vast agricultural empire. If you think agriculture is just an ancient craft, think again. Today, we will reveal the secrets of agriculture in ancient Egypt and how this ancient civilization relied entirely on irrigation science, diverse crops, and innovative tools. Are you ready to discover the agricultural secrets that helped build one of the greatest empires in history? Stay with us until the end. Agriculture in the heart of the desert, life on the banks of the Nile River in the heart of the barren desert of North Africa, where the only river that connected life and death was the Nile. The ancient Egyptians lived along its banks. In this arid environment, where water could vanish in an instant and leave everyone in thirst, the Nile was the only link to life and continuity. The Nile was the lifeblood of the Egyptians, and they had an astonishing ability to harness the water of this river in remarkable ways. But have you ever wondered how the Egyptian farmers managed to cultivate fertile land that was not close to the river? How did they turn dry lands into fertile fields? Through their deep understanding of the river and its annual floods, they were able to use innovative irrigation techniques to raise the water level to distant lands. In this way, agriculture expanded not only in the floodplains but also to include areas farther away, like the Nile Delta and the inner regions that initially seemed completely dry. The Egyptian farmers used channels and irrigation ditches to pull water from the Nile to lands farther from its banks, allowing them to take advantage of every inch of land in this desert environment. The Egyptians dug water channels with remarkable precision to direct the water from the Nile to distant lands. These channels stretched over long distances and were designed to maintain a regular flow of water, efficiently distributing it, which helped improve agricultural production. The Nile flood, the secret of annual agriculture. With the annual floods that the farmers could predict, agriculture in ancient Egypt came to life. Every year, during August and September, the waters would submerge the floodplains and delta, leaving behind fertile soil rich in organic matter. This clay soil was exactly what the land needed to grow essential crops like wheat and barley. But the Egyptians didn't just wait for the floods. They also invented advanced irrigation techniques that turned the land into an agricultural paradise. As the floodwaters began to recede in October, the farmers began preparing the land for the new growing season. When the water started to retreat, farmers would begin their task of cultivating the land. They carefully plowed the land using hand plows drawn by oxen, then began planting wheat and barley, along with other crops like lentils and beans. The clay soil left behind by the floods was rich in organic material and nutrients, ensuring that the crops grew quickly and strong. This is why the Egyptians were able to produce abundant harvests of wheat and barley, which were the cornerstone of their diet. But the secret to their success was not just in the soil, but in the advanced irrigation techniques that helped them transform dry lands into fertile ones, making optimal use of the Nile's water. These crops, alongside vegetables and fruits, were the mainstay of the ancient Egyptians' diet. Advanced irrigation techniques. How did the ancient Egyptians use the Nile's water? At the start of the planting season in October, after the Nile's waters receded, farmers prepared for the new season. Using plows drawn by oxen and the Shaduf, a tool for lifting water from the river, they irrigated the distant lands. The fields were plowed and then planted with wheat, lentils, beans, and oil crops like sesame and castor beans. Occasionally, crops like olives and grapes flourished in the beautiful gardens adorned with flowers and lotus wreaths. The Shaduf was a creative and innovative tool for lifting water from the river to distant lands. It consisted of a bucket attached to a long rod, and the farmers would use a simple mechanical motion to raise the water from the river to the land, allowing them to control the water flow. What made agriculture in ancient Egypt unique was how they utilized irrigation. By digging canals, ditches, and dams, the Egyptians were able to transport the Nile's water with high efficiency, allowing them to grow crops even on lands far from the riverbanks. These channels were skillfully built to direct water to the fields, ensuring a consistent flow. However, the floods had another face. The rising waters could threaten to break the canals and drown the crops. Despite these risks, the Egyptians overcame this challenge with remarkable intelligence, using advanced irrigation tools such as buckets and reservoirs to collect excess water and regulate its flow. These techniques allowed them to continue producing crops even during periods of drought or excessive floods. Religious rituals and agriculture. How did the Egyptians link the gods to the earth? As agriculture advanced, the Egyptian farmers performed religious rituals related to agriculture, believing that gods like Osiris and Isis blessed their crops and protected the land. This belief was part of their daily life and strengthened their deep connection to the earth. The Egyptians closely associated agriculture with the gods, such as Osiris, the god of agriculture and fertility, believing that rivers and the land itself were gifts from the gods. Farmers would offer sacrifices and perform rituals to appease the gods and protect their crops. These rituals ensured a bountiful harvest and helped maintain the ecological balance of their agricultural environment. There were annual festivals, such as the Bread Harvest Festival, where farmers would go to the temples of the gods to offer sacrifices and give thanks for the bountiful harvests. These rituals were performed during the harvest season to seek blessings from the gods and ensure the protection of the land and water. This spiritual connection was one of the reasons they developed advanced farming methods to guarantee abundant crops. In addition to irrigation, working the land required a spiritual connection, which made agriculture in ancient Egypt more than just a profession. It was a ritual that preserved the continuity of life. This spirituality motivated farmers to work even harder, making agriculture an essential part of their national and religious identity. The agricultural and animal cycle. How were animals part of agriculture? In addition to agriculture, animal husbandry was an essential part of the Egyptians' lives. Cattle, horses, and sheep helped transport crops and food materials, while birds like ducks and pigeons were raised for other purposes. This agricultural and animal cycle made the ancient Egyptians a self-sustaining and enduring society. The Egyptians also raised bees for honey, which was part of their agricultural products. This integration between agriculture and animal husbandry helped ensure the sustainability of the community. Animals helped transport the crops and plow the land, while the crops provided food for the animals. Additionally, the raising of goats and sheep provided meat and milk, which were important parts of the farmer's diet. This sustainable cycle between agriculture and livestock created a model society capable of adapting to its environment and making the most of its natural resources. Conclusion. And here is the full story of how agriculture became the foundation of one of the greatest civilizations in history. From the Nile River, and the ancient Egyptians' knowledge of how to use its water for irrigation, to the use of innovative tools like the Shaduf and plows, agriculture was the beating heart of ancient Egypt. If this story has sparked your curiosity and you want to learn more about ancient Egyptian civilization and its developments, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive the latest videos that uncover historical secrets you may not have known before. We are always here to travel with you through time and discover together how these ancient civilizations have influenced our world today. Subscribe now and don't miss any new historical adventure.